Okay. All right. Well, it says I'm live. So I assume you can all hear me now. Just going to give a couple seconds for everybody to roll in. It's going to be a little bit different today. I've kind of posted on Twitter that we're in the process of moving to another office. So the setup is a little bit messy in here right now, so I'm hiding it with this background until we get things set up in the new office, and I'll be streaming from there. We're actually going to have like a real streaming room now, so you won't see videos from the couch anymore. I know that's going to be a little bit of a change, but it should make the live streams a lot better. And I've got a new mic, so it's not as bad audio anymore, and it was a lot easier to set up. I didn't have any audio issues this time. This time the delay was because I was grabbing coffee. Gotta get a little bit energy. I've been working all day, so I'm pretty like low energy right now. So I gotta get a little bit caffeine going. It's like 1 a.m. here. Mm. I know most of you are just waking up. So awesome. Yeah, we can do videos in the background. Just like any of the real YouTube channels. We've got like a proper setup now. So I hope you're all doing good. I saw some people sent in super chats yesterday because that was my mistake. I want to apologize to everybody that showed up early. Well, for me, it was early. For you guys, you thought it was on time. That was my mistake. I put the wrong time zone. I didn't even know the stream was going until I saw messages popping up on Twitter like, Vince, where the heck are you? And I was like, what? It confused me at first. I didn't know why people were sending me messages asking me where I was. And then I saw I had set the time to the wrong time zone. So if you were one of the people who sat around waiting for me yesterday, I'm really sorry. I will try to be a lot more careful about that in the near future. So, well, without further ado, now that that's out of the way, episode 25 or 25th Q&A episode. So here we are again. We got a lot more stuff to cover. I've made a lot of announcements, and actually, I haven't announced any of the big stuff yet because we're saving that for Tokyo Game Show, which is in September 21st. So I'm still, keeping a lot of the stuff behind the curtain so that we have some really big stuff to talk about during that show, and we're going to show off a lot of stuff. So up until from now till then, I'm going to be dropping like little teasers, um, enough just to kind of keep you all excited and interested, but not to spoil anything for the show or give away anything too big right away. I mean, one of the things I've said I'm gonna announce recently is like the Super Dark Deception Chapter 1 through 3 release dates. So I'll probably get those to you before um, Tokyo Game Show, but I'm not gonna tell you a specific date. It may be this month, it may be like early September, but I'm gonna get those fairly soon. So yeah, so anyone who's new to these Q&A sessions, and we always have new people, basically this is just your chance to ask me questions about any of our games. And our game list is growing now, so there's a lot more games to ask about. Um, you can do that either by being a member in our YouTube channel, one of the VIP members in our server, or you can donate money to our team to use Super Chat. We appreciate the support, and that's a guaranteed way to get your question asked besides being a member. And then the other way, that's free for everybody, is to send your question into our email, contact@glowstickentertainment.com, and we select randomly kind of the best questions or most interesting questions that we see. Sometimes we just randomly pick them. And eventually everybody gets their question picked that way if you're diligent enough about it. So first things first, we jump right into the member questions. I'm going to start with those, and I'll go to super chats after that. So let's go ahead and jump into the member questions. Number one, I've got from Bindi17511. He says, "Hey Vince, any more surprises or updates you got for us on Monsters and Mortals, like achievements, anti-cheat, new game modes, etc.?" Well, I'm saving a lot of the announcements for Monsters and Mortals for Tokyo Game Show. Like I've said, I'm going to announce the Phase 3 guest DLCs. We have a surprise one that I haven't revealed yet. That'll be probably liked by a lot of people, I hope. Um, we're going to at some point kind of show off the Poppy DLC. We'll probably have that running at Tokyo Game Show so people can see it and check it out and actually play it. We have a lot of other surprises coming for Monsters and Mortals for during Tokyo Game Show. It just kind of lines up nicely with everything. As far as like surprises and updates, that's the Tokyo Game Show side of things. As far as like the extra stuff, I can say that those two new game modes that I announced like way back before we had the issue with Monsters and Mortals that required us to fix it. Those are still going in, so we've actually been working on those pretty recently. Uh, Basically, they're being worked on kind of in parallel with the console ports. So we're looking into the console ports. We've been working on those to get Monsters and Mortals onto consoles like PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X. Xbox One and Switch are still kind of up in the air. We don't know if that will work. We're trying to make it work. So our goal is all platforms, but PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and Xbox Series X are guaranteed. So the new game modes are kind of being worked on at the same time, and of course they will drop on PC first. And then, of course, if we can get it working on Switch and Xbox One, then obviously they would be able to port to mobile as well because those hardware are all pretty equal spec wise. So if you think about it, like the Switch is equal to basically a Samsung Galaxy S8, not even a Plus. I would just say S8 from like 2017. That's the power of that console system. So you could see like that game has to be really optimized to run on Switch. So if it's already optimized to that degree to where it would run on an S8 phone, it's already optimized for mobile. So then that is possible. Question number 2. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll answer a couple more things. As far as achievements, yeah, we will get those in at some point. They're not our focus right now. And anti-cheat, yes, we have some functionality in already, but we're waiting on Epic for a couple things to get full anti-cheat functionality. And you have to be aware, keep your expectations in check. There is no perfect anti-cheat. There's always a loophole and a way around those anti-cheat systems. We just kind of have to do the best we can. Fortnite and these billion-dollar games can't keep the cheaters out. We can only do what we can do. Question number 2 from Joy Joy Lucky. Are you actively trying to find a way to get dedicated servers back into Monsters and Mortals? So, for anyone that's unaware, Monsters and Mortals started peer-to-peer, and then we upgraded it to dedicated servers at one point. And then we've reverted it back to peer-to-peer. So here's the reason why we had to do that. One, the game's user base just isn't large enough to support dedicated servers. So right now, Monsters and Mortals has moved over 100,000 units, which sounds like a great number. But for a multiplayer game, that's actually very low. When you think of things like Dead by Daylight and Fortnite that have millions of players, 100,000 players, and they're not all playing at the same time. In fact, gamers play many games, their attention's torn in many directions. So it's very rare. I mean, it's not often that you get like a large number of players on a small game with that size audience. So it's not enough to support dedicated servers. It's perfect for peer-to-peer, but not dedicated servers. The other issue is that we simply don't have the team that can manage servers. So we don't have the internal personnel to keep a dedicated server build running. And that was actually crippling the game. So it's either we let the game die or we switch back to peer-to-peer. So that was an easy choice for us. Unless the game suddenly sells like 1 million units, once we put it on console or something, and it has like this massive player base, we're probably never going to push it back to dedicated servers. It's just not in the cards for us. So if you have a really bad PC, don't host and think about, wait till you upgrade your hardware or wait for the console versions. Then, everybody has the same standard hardware for consoles. Okay, number 3 by Crash. Hey Vince, curious about the Monsters and Mortals modding contest. Is that still going to happen? And or when are we able to expect any information on the contest? Yeah, so the Monsters and Mortals modding contest, which I mentioned, I believe, during the holiday video last year, is still going to happen this year. Obviously, we want to wait until we get through phase two. So that's probably going to be an end of the year thing. Like, I would say somewhere between October and December, we're going to start dropping the details for that and get the community involved in that. Also, the upgrade to Unreal Engine 5 with the rebuild kind of affected that. So we're going to we've kind of changed up the rules for that and what we're looking for, but we'll definitely get that into out to the community at some point this year. So yeah, you don't have to worry, that's still happening. Question number 4 from Artsman. Is VR planned or have you decided against it? I think DD would make for a really good horror game in VR. Actually, Dark Deception started as a VR game. That was its first form uh, upon release. It wasn't released as a standard, traditional console game or PC game. It was released as a VR game for the Oculus Rift to be kind of a showpiece for that new hardware, and it was on the Oculus share market. It was only later when we kind of saw that VR wasn't really catching on like we thought it would that we switched it to a normal PC game. So yeah, we do have a VR version planned, but we're probably going to save that for after we do PC and consoles and get Dark Deception out on all of those, and then we'll do a VR version because actually it works really well in VR. It's just due to the controls and the nature of the gameplay, a lot of people get sick playing it in VR. So we're gonna have to tweak that a bit to try to get the comfort level up. But even then, I think it's going to be really hard with the speed of our game to make it, a perfectly comfortable experience. People will have to kind of play it in short bursts. Question number 5 from Judinator. Hey Vince, how did you get in contact with the house dev? Are there any other games you're looking to publish? Yeah, I think around the time that I kind of knew the They Grow game wasn't going to work out, we started looking for an alternate game to be our first published game because we do want to publish other horror games that we believe in. That was kind of our goal since we've had our own success with Dark Deception. We wanted to support other horror games that we kind of see similarities in and that we feel would also be, strong franchises for the horror community and help them and support them in their development as best as we can. So I think I saw 8-Bit Ryan play the original House, and then Super Horror Bro, and eventually I watched Markiplier play it, and it was kind of my background noise during development. And that game just really stuck with me over time. Like, it really made an impression on me. It's a very short game, but it's highly replayable, and it had a DLC that was added later. But just the story and the characters and the whole situation with that house and the time loop really kind of stuck with me and impressed me. So later on, at some point, I saw them drop a teaser trailer for what looked like a sequel, but it wasn't actually announced. They just kind of said Tabby returns, but they didn't specify whether it was a sequel, whether it was another DLC. So I kind of reached out to them and explored it, and they're kind of a fans of our team as well, and that respect was mutual, and we decided it'd be great to work together. So the publishing deal came together, and we're very proud to be publishing House and their sequel House 2. And we're actually going to show off House 2 at Tokyo Game Show. And I think people are going to be really amazed with how far the game has come since House 1. So I can tell you that right now that it is a dramatic improvement over House 1 in every aspect of the game. So I think people are going to be really wowed by that game when we show it at our booth. And we'll see how everyone takes to it, but I think they'll like it a lot. Let's see. Question number 6 from L. The track "The Joy of Despair" sounds like a boss fight theme. Which level would which level would this boss fight take place in? Or if it's between levels, which 2 levels in the Joy Joy Gang boss? Oh, sorry. Remember, it's 1 a.m. here. Which 2 levels is the Joy Joy Gang boss fight between? Okay, so I can't tell you specifically which level the boss fight takes place in, but I can confirm that it is a boss fight theme. I know that narrows it down for some of you who have some pretty interesting theories about where that's used. But that's all I can confirm at this time. I won't confirm anything further before, Chapter 5 releases. Question number 7 from T. Hello, Vince. Bit of a lore question. Oh, this is Monsters and Mortals. Okay, are the red pyramid things in Monsters and Mortals the executioners of Silent Hill's past, or are they created by the mind of James Sutherland? Well, it's been a while since I played Silent Hill 2, a long time since PlayStation 2. Maybe I played it. No, I didn't even play it then. I bought it for PlayStation 3 when they had that Silent Hill collector's box, but I didn't actually play it. I think it's still shrink wrapped somewhere in storage. But I played it on PlayStation 2, and if I remember right, and Silent Hill fans, don't crucify me if I'm getting something wrong here, but if I remember right, they're part of James' psyche for his desire to punish himself over what he did to his wife. Um, for any of you that haven't played Silent Hill 2, Bloober Team has a Silent Hill 2 remake coming. I don't know how much of that they're going to change, if it's a straight up remake like Resident Evil 2 did, where they really honor the source material, or if it's going to be like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where they do kind of an alternate version of that story. I hope it's the former and not the latter, but we'll see. So there's a lot of theories on that. So what I said is not a spoiler. I think that's the most popular interpretation of what the red pyramid thing is. And red pyramid thing is Pyramid Head. It's just that is Konami's name, original name. And then when it went out west, they created the name Pyramid Head. It caught on, and that kind of stuck. But I think Konami always wanted it to be called Red Pyramid Thing. So they asked us to stick to that because that was the actual original name of that character. Let's see. Question number 8 from N. You said in the last live stream that the requirements for the secret ending require both S ranks and finding all the E notes. You also said that the E notes can still be found in replay mode and it'll still count. Is this the same for getting all S ranks? I can see how it might get tedious if you've got to do it all in story mode in one go. Yeah, so this is the case for all levels that require an S rank to qualify. You can go back and replay it in replay mode. Of course, yeah, I'm not going to make all the players obtain that in one go, or they don't, they can never see the true ending. Yeah, all you have to do is get it in replay mode once, because it saves your highest score and your progress in each level. Even if you start a new game, it still retains that old save data. Then you're good to go. So if there's any levels you haven't obtained an S rank on yet, you still have time to obtain that before Chapter 5 releases. Do your best. Question number 9 from LKZ. Joy Joy Gang returns in Chapter 5. Will the ability be strengthened, and will they return in the story or in the collection levels? Yes, of course. I've said previously, I've stated that all the characters come back in some fashion in Chapter 5. So it's a complete reunion of sorts. Of course, there are new characters as well. But everybody's in the mix, including the Joy Joy Gang and including Joy Kill. So you will get to see everybody at least once in some fashion. As to whether they're strengthened or not, I can't go into that because, of course, that's spoiler territory if I tell you they are or if I tell you they're not. That spoils something for somebody. So I cannot confirm or deny anything. I can only confirm that they do appear. Okay. Question number 10. Hi, Vince. I hope you and the team are doing well. Oh, sorry, this is from Pro Gamer. I wanted to ask if you ever plan on adding in-depth audio options to just sound effects and voice acting volumes in Dark Deception. Yes, I've said before that I'm painfully aware that that's missing and that's needed, absolutely needed, in both Dark Deception and Super Dark Deception and Monsters and Mortals. So all 3 games need that basic game functionality. We actually have been putting it in for both PC and console. You'll see it in there. It's just not going to be in any update prior to Chapter 5 releasing. So you kind of have to suffer without it until we get the final release out. But once it's out, you won't have to worry about that. That will be in there, and it will be functional. So the option menu system has just been kind of an ongoing thing with us that we finally kind of worked out, but it took a painfully long time to find a solution that kind of made us happy. Um, Question number 11, SDB. Hey, events, just a quick question. Have you ever considered adding sensitivity options? Oh, this is like another options question. For keyboard and mouse to Monsters and Mortals. I know this option doesn't currently exist. Oh, wait. Sorry. I know this option does currently exist, but it only works for controller players, which I'd guess there aren't many of. Well, actually, I use controller. But I know, yeah, most players do use keyboard and mouse. As I said, we've kind of revamped the whole options menu. Um, it already has like keyboard bindings. I'd have to check and see if we have a sensitivity for the mouse and keyboard, or I mean that would just be for the mouse. I guess it can be for keyboard too. I can look into that and double check and just make sure it's there. And if it's not, we can always add that in um, to our kind of options menu overhaul that we're still kind of going through. So yeah, suggestion noted. We'll take a look and make sure that it does at least support some of that. Question number 12, Unicat and Jess. She says, there are concerns that making Monsters and Mortals sequels are a bad idea because all the assets and stuff will be wasted and previous games may die. It should be one big ultimate gaming party or ultimate party game. Well, I agree. I mean, that was always the intention of Monsters and Mortals was to be a fun party game. And unfortunately, just the way we've set up our game, we're not going for a live service game like Dead by Daylight or Fortnite that just goes on forever and it's just one game. We're going more for, and there's several reasons for that, and there's pros and cons to both approaches. So neither side is perfect. There's a downside to each one, and there's an upside to each one. So we're going more for like, you know, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers. All of those games have iterations. There's a complete game, it moves on. So yes, previous versions are complete. The player base will move on to the newer game at some point, and the player base will drop off in the old version. But as a result of those new iterations, they're not bogged down with the previous game's code base. They can rebuild and do it better and improve. I mean, if you compare the first Mario Kart to the most recent Mario Kart, and the first Smash Brothers to the most recent Smash Brothers, same for Mortal Kombat, they improve because they're allowed to move on and learn from their mistakes in previous versions and start from scratch and do it smarter. So for us, we've made a lot of, I mean, some of you, I mean, you can all attest, we've made mistakes with Monsters and Mortals. So if we ever do a Monsters and Mortals 2, and obviously that's not any time in the near future, but if, let's say like a year or two from now, if we make a Monsters and Mortals 2 and kind of cap this one off, we can learn from all the lessons of Monsters and Mortals. We're going to do the same thing with Dark Deception sequel. We've learned a lot of lessons from Dark Deception, things that we can do a lot better, things that were good ideas but executed not in the best way. That's kind of how you grow as a company and improve. So, yeah, that's just part of the path we're taking. Okay, that's it for our member questions. So I'm going to jump over to our super chats. And I will go all the way back to yesterday so we don't miss anybody that threw in a super chat yesterday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all the super chats, and that's usually the longest part of our live stream. And then after that, I will jump into some of our email questions, and I'll even take a few from our chat. So let me go ahead and start at the top. So we've got Logan Watchthorn through in 10. Thank you, Logan. Oh, and before I begin, I will answer every question that's a super chat. The only ones I will not answer are inappropriate questions that, you know, do not relate to our games or are inappropriate remarks or comments. You know, this is all basic stuff. I think everybody knows what those topics are. So just to let you know before that, keep the comments or the questions related to the games or at least appropriate. All right. When are you dropping Dark Deception chapter? Oh, and I cannot answer any spoiler questions. So if you ask me a release date question, I will have to kind of give you the you'll see response. So Logan's asking, when are we dropping Dark Deception Chapter 5's trailer? and the Switch Collector's Edition. So as far as the Chapter 5 trailer, I can't tell you exactly what date. I can tell you we're doing the demo at Tokyo Game Show. And as far as the Switch Collector's Edition, I think some people got confused because there was no Switch demo, that they're worried the Switch version of Dark Deception is not coming, and it is. So the reason there was no Switch demo is because Nintendo Switch requires that the final game be submitted in order to release a demo, whereas Sony and Microsoft do not. You don't have to have a final build of a game submitted for approval in order to release a demo. So, in order for us to do a Switch demo, we have to have basically the whole game done and already being approved by Nintendo to put out a little demo. So that's why that one's waiting. A Switch version is still coming, and we are going to do a collector's edition. I actually have some announcements coming for that once I've worked out some stuff with our partners, some really cool things, but I'm not allowed to talk about them yet. But they are coming, and Switch is one of them. Next question. Let's see. My Vision threw in 10 euros. Thank you. Hi, Vince. Hope you're okay. I don't have time to stay. Sorry, I kept you waiting. I don't have time to stay. Sorry, I just had one question. Do you ever think about making a collab with Little Nightmares for Monsters and Mortals? Have a good night. Or you said have a good life. I like that. That's longer. Yes, I do think about doing a Little Nightmares collab. Obviously, I've said very openly previously that I greatly respect the Little Nightmares team. I think they're in our little corner or a little subgenre of horror. They're the one game that really, truly, like genuinely impressed me with their craftsmanship and artistry. Obviously, now there's a couple more games that I would add to that list, but they were the first that really stood out to me. They look like a Leica film, in my opinion, and that wowed me because I'm a big Leica fan. I always loved Coraline and a lot of their other movies, so that kind of grabbed my attention right away. So yeah, I would love the chance to work with them, but obviously Little Nightmares is owned by Bandai Namco, and they're a big company. They've got two offices in the US and one in Japan, and they operate independently. So it really, I believe that IP is controlled by their Europe office. So there's actually three. So I'd have to basically get the Europe office to agree to it, and usually it requires approval from Japan as well. So it becomes a bunch of hurdles I have to jump over to even get that discussion to the table. So, I'll keep my fingers crossed with the rest of you that someday it can happen. I think it's going to take a lot higher numbers for Monsters and Mortals than 100,000 to get that one. But I believe we can pull it off. I mean, nobody thought we could get Silent Hill or, Dark Pictures Anthology or some of the other ones that we have on our list now. But we've been pulling it off, so I have no doubt that we are at least capable of getting some of these other big indie horror IPs on board. Zian Nay threw in $1 just to donate. Thank you, Zian. Same for no, Isaac has a question. Okay, Isaac Smith threw in 5. He says, is Chapter 5 still going to be split up into multiple parts? Are you going to make it all one chapter? No, it's not going to be split up into multiple parts. We kind of backtracked on that due to the console ports, so that we could do kind of a simultaneous launch on all consoles at the same time. And that kind of forced us to put it out as a complete game. Isaac threw in another 5. Thank you, Isaac. In Chapter 4, before the Mama Bear boss fight, we see her do a sick backflip into the body of who's behind her. Where was that mobility while chasing us? She's weird. I mean, she's very flexible, but she doesn't like to run. So she's not very fast at chasing, although she is very persistent. But obviously, Mama's got some moves still. The kids haven't run her into the ground completely yet. She's got a, really hard job, but she can still move when she needs to. And another question from Isaac. He threw another 10, so I guess he threw in 20 total. I should have just read that from the beginning. Thank you, Isaac. Before Chapter 4 was released, you told us that Mama Bear, despite her slow speed, killed you so many times to the point you rage quit. Can you tell us how? Well, Mama Bear wasn't always slow. We originally had her quite fast, and the trigger teddies were very, very sensitive and had a very large blast radius. And they were also broken. So they would always know where I was. So that was kind of a problem when I was testing it, and it was almost impossible to avoid them. So if any of you remember when Chapter 4 launched, it had a bug where the teddies wouldn't stay asleep. If you even moved a little bit, they woke up and just came straight for you, and it was impossible to get through that cabin maze. It was basically that all the time. So yeah, that's why I said it made me rage quit. And then obviously we balanced things a little better, and then it broke again, and then we fixed them. So it's a process. Scare films threw in. Let's see. Oh, they threw in 4. Okay, so 8 total. Thank you, and they get 4 questions. So it says, is the last portal called Dark Deception? No. Can more than one human be in Bierce's ballroom? Yes. Is audio more vital than visuals in a game? Well, I think that's subjective. It depends on which one you value more. I think both are vitally important. Although I've seen plenty of games succeed with bad visuals, I have not seen many games succeed with bad audio. Um, Feel free to correct me and point out an example, but I've seen plenty of games with very simplistic visuals but beautiful scores. But I mean, if the audio is grating and terrible, that would make me not want to play the game. So I guess I would say maybe audio has a bit more weight than visuals, but great visuals will sell a game instantly and make people want to play it. If they don't play it, they'll never hear the audio. Okay, why are all the levels a maze for the lore? Well, I mean, that's just what Dark Deception is. It's a labyrinth horror game. So thus we must have mazes. Okay, Puppet King threw in. Oh, we got a Puppet King. Threw in 5. Will the ballroom cutscene be updated to have Darkstar and Puppet King standing by their portals instead of the murder monkey? No, because they weren't in the game at that point. That player has not reached them. Okay. Shosho Dupers threw in 2. Thank you, Shosho. Will Ayano's LSL be redeveloped after Chapter 5? Oh, Lovesick Labyrinth. Like I said, that one's shelved. We don't have any definitive, clear, immediate plans for it. Whenever we have a game that we're not sure if we're going to continue on, but we also don't want to cancel it, it goes on the shelf until we get things off our plate and we can make a better decision. So right now, when that one's firmly on the shelf, we just got Ayano's or Yandere Simulator DLC out on Monsters and Mortals, and we've got 3 to 5 games now in production, so we're shelving that one for now until later. Jason, will Darkstar... Jason threw in 2. Thank you, Jason. Will Darkstar sing in her chase theme? I can't say anything about Darkstar's music. All her music are spoilers, so that one's definitely a you'll see. But thank you for the contribution. I appreciate it. Justin Awesome threw in 5. Why do you feel so slow in Crazy Carnival? Your running speed looks like a walk. What level speed boost does Lucky have, and why did you give him 1? Lucky's speed boost is a low-level speed boost, so when you speed boost, you're faster than Lucky. He will only catch you with his speed boost if you're going at normal speed. As for Crazy Carnival, it's just a big map, and we had to kind of fudge some things to fix some issues with Malik's Phantom. So that's kind of why that one issue is in that level. Joshua Time Cartoon threw in 5. Thank you, Joshua. 2 questions. Why Ayano has katana instead of a knife? And second, why you chose police officer instead of delinquent or student counselors? Well, we'll start with the katana. So originally, in Ayano's Lovesick Labyrinth, Ayano used a katana as one of her weapons, and she's used it in Yandere Simulator as well. We just love katanas, so we gave that to her. And we've seen a lot of screenshots of her using the katana in Yandere Simulator, so that weapon kind of stuck with us. And since we didn't have any katana-wielding characters, we thought that was a good way to go. Yes, she does have a knife too, but, Yandere Simulator is all about play it however you want to play it. There's weapons everywhere. Kind of like... what was... I'm trying to think of that. Rising Rising Dead on from Capcom, or Dead Rising, I think that's what it's called. And as far as the police officer goes, we just saw the police as a bigger aspect of Yandere Simulator than the delinquents or the student counselors. You're free to disagree. There's so many good characters in Yandere Simulator that could have been used. We definitely wanted to include the delinquents and some of the students in the hallways. It's a multiplayer game though, and we have to watch performance, so obviously it wasn't possible. And we're not trying to be Yandere Simulator. There's already a Yandere Simulator. This is supposed to be more of like a theme park, like a Universal Studios short ride through Yandere Simulator, just to kind of give a sense of it more than to perfectly emulate all the gameplay of Yandere Simulator. So that's why we can't include everything. All right. Let me see the next one. Oh, we got another one from Shosho. Another 2. Thank you again, Shosho. Could the Poppy Playtime DLC receive Immortal? Yes, actually, it is receiving Immortal. So one of the I mentioned a great benefit to the delay, and the great benefit is that the playable character roster is expanding. So I'm not going to say by how many characters. I'm going to save that for Tokyo Game Show, but we are getting some new characters that Mob Entertainment has approved. So if you remember, originally it was just Kissy Missy. We have a couple more now. So I'll reveal those at Tokyo Game Show, but I'm pretty sure you're all going to be happy with the new characters that are being added. Let's see, Vizian Raymond through in 5. I ain't got much to say or ask, but I hope you have a good day and a fun time at the game show, Mr. Vince. Well, thank you very much, Vizian. I appreciate the donation, too. Thank you for your support. Artsman. Wait, no, not that one. Autumn. Sorry, it's Autumn Azura through in 5. Can I use monsters that are a similar species to yours for a DD fan game? Example, ducks, monkeys, statues, etc. Yeah, I mean, in a Dark Deception fan game, you can do whatever you want. If you want to use our characters, you just have to use the disclaimer and credit properly. You're also free to make your own characters. So absolutely, I always encourage people to be creative and think of their own things. If you want to make your own version of a Dread Ducky that's like an alternate version, go for it. See what you can do. I've already seen other people kind of do that with some of our characters, like Gold Watchers. So yeah, do whatever you feel like. Brendan San Miguel through in 2. Thank you. And it just says vlog, so I think that's just a donation. Thank you very much. Blood Violet through in 2. Why is telepathy changed from red outline to cloud? Okay, I've gotten that one a lot, but I'm going to answer it because I know a lot of people may not have seen previous Q&A videos. So the reason that we've changed telepathy from red outline to cloud before is simply for performance. The plugin that we were using for that effect was very expensive, and it didn't work well for a multiplayer game. So we put that into Monsters and Mortals, and then I believe we just put it into Dark. I don't know if we swapped it into Dark Deception 2 to save performance in the game. Since, I mean, it's basically just seeing the character through a wall. As long as you can see them, that's all that matters. Unicat Ninjas through in 5. Thank you, Unicat. Vader Gamer XO5 asks, will Dark Deception Mobile have anything cut in terms of cutscenes and map sizes to make it run properly? No, I mean, cutscenes and the map size should be exactly the same. The only thing you might see probably reduced significantly is the materials and the lighting. That's usually what costs the most for rendering and performance in a game, is the lighting, shadows, anything that's real time, and the materials themselves. So I think we had a mobile build before, and we did a pretty good job of translating the PBR materials from PC into materials that are usable by mobile phones. And they looked, obviously they're not going to look as good, but they looked pretty close. And that was years ago. So when we do the mobile version now, hardware for phones is a lot more powerful now. They have better processors, better GPUs, more RAM. It's getting much closer to a PC. And in fact, many of them already are equal or better than some laptops. at certain, performance tiers. So I think it won't be as much of an issue now. So the delay on mobile is probably a good thing because it allowed the technology to kind of catch up. But yeah, cutscenes and map size will not be affected. Alp through in 2001. Thank you, Alp. Anything you can talk about for Mecha Monkey and Lamprey? No, I can't yet. Those guys are. I mentioned Mecha Monkey. I can't really go into detail on that because that's a fun one, and I don't want to ruin it. And then the lamprey looking thing, it's another surprise. So that's definitely you'll see response. But thank you for your donation, your support anyway. I appreciate it. My vision threw in 20 euros. I think that is that euros. Yeah, that's euros. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hi Vince, hope you're okay. I have a question for you. Do you ever consider making a collab? Oh, I think that's the same one that came in yesterday. Oh no. Maybe you thought it didn't go through and you sent it again. I hope it didn't double charge you. But yeah, that was the question about the Little Nightmares collab. So I answered that one. I said yes. We absolutely would love to do a Little Nightmares collab. But I feel like if we ever just to add something to that, since he asked it twice, I'm gonna talk about it twice. Just to add something to that, I would say like if we ever did get that DLC added into Monsters and Mortals, I would really want to put a lot of work into that because I'd want it to look, you know, amazing as the Little Nightmares games. So, and I'd want it to add like something new for both Little Nightmares fans and Dark Deception fans and Monsters and Mortals fans. So I think that one would be kind of a big undertaking as far as the DLC goes. Maybe equal to Silent Hill or even more so because for Silent Hill, we mostly did Silent Hill 1, which was like dated PlayStation 1 visuals. It was pretty easy to upgrade those. Whereas Little Nightmares already looked great. So we'd have to upgrade it, noticeably more to have any kind of like visual, impress people visually with it. Let's see. Mannequin through in 5. Hey, Vince, is there going to be another mannequin type? If so, will it be green? I'm trying to think what I've already shared with you all. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be multiple mannequin types. I haven't shared all of them, and then for good reason. I don't want to spoil, one, the demo, and two, the game once it releases. So yeah, there is more than one. I believe I've shown 2 stalker types, which was the male and the female, but I haven't shown anything beyond that. But I can say there are far more than just those 2. So yeah, it's going to be a mannequin bonanza in that level. Get ready for it. It's not going to just be those 2. Alp threw in another 2001. Thank you, Alp. Where does the Hauser family live, and when is Tammy's birthday? Actually, I wrote down Tammy's birthday on one of the documents that you can kind of discover inside of Chapter 3, but I forgot the exact birth date. If I can open up that file later, I could share that info with you, but I don't have it on the top of my head right now. But as far as where the Hauser family lived, it was in New York, or the greater New York region, at somewhere in the state. It's kind of implied that it's somewhere around New York City, but we didn't specifically point to any exact area of New York. Okay, sorry, I lost. Whoa, okay. CXXD reacts through an 100. Wow, thank you very much. That's an incredibly generous donation. I don't know if that's the biggest donation we've ever received, non fundraiser as far as like a charity fundraiser, but that's huge. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Hey Vince, all I just want to say is that I've been following this game since it came out in 2018 when I was 14. I'm now an adult, and I can't believe it's now coming to an end with Chapter 5. I just want to say thank you for making this amazing game. Well, thank you so much, man. I can't believe you've been there since the beginning. I'm always impressed that anybody follows any of my games. And I'm just glad that I made it. We made it to the end. I made it to the end. Nixon and Penn, we all 3 of us made it to the end with this game. Because when we started it, we could never see the end of that. It looked like such a large thing. We wondered if we'd ever be able to accomplish it. And now we're finally very close to being done with it. and we have, a sequel coming. The end of this game, but the next one begins, and the next game is even bigger. So we get to do it all over again. Uh, just now it's from back to square one, on an even longer journey. So I don't know if you'll be there with us for that one, but I hope you are, and I'm glad you were there with us for this one. Unicat Ninjas threw in 5. Thank you, Unicat, again for your multiple contributions. Vader Gamer XO2 asks, well, he's got a couple questions. Will for the Asus ROG Ally PC gaming handheld be added? Oh, I think she meant will support for the Asus ROG Ally PC gaming handheld be added? Is Mortal Puppets Zone 3 chase theme a chase theme? Will the extras menu be expanded? Okay, so there's 3 questions sewn into one. I'm gonna break them down. So as far as the Asus ROG Ally handheld gaming system, I actually saw that recently at I think it was Taipei Game Show. I was checking that out, and we were kind of discussing about potentially supporting that, since I believe it is just Windows native, and it uses the Windows Store that we technically could support it. So yeah, if we put Dark Deception on the Windows Store, sorry, gotta get drink a little coffee real quick. Okay, if it goes on the Windows Store, then yes, it will support the handheld system. You can play it on that, just like it's on Steam. You can play it on Steam Deck. As far as is Mortal Puppets a Zone 3 chase theme? Let me think. Mortal Puppets. I believe that's a Zone 2 chase theme, but I could be wrong. No, I believe it's Zone 2. Will the extras menu be expanded? Yes. In fact, one thing I can share here is that we are adding another item to the extras menu that's purely for fans. I don't know if any of you have played Astro Boy. It's called Astro's Playground on PlayStation 5. There's a secret PlayStation room that you can go to where you can kind of unlock memorabilia and collectibles and stuff, and kind of visually explore it like a museum inside the game. They've put stuff like that in Persona 2. I think Persona 5 had it. So we're doing our own version of that for Dark Deception for the final chapter, where you will be able to kind of retroactively unlock things in Dark Deception and kind of see your accomplishments and trophies and stuff inside that room as you progress. So, and then, yes, those things will unlock retroactively. So if you've already beaten levels, that'll already be waiting for you. District D threw in TRY 55. Will you be doing something other than creating games, such as animations? Will we see new plot elements and Easter eggs on old levels? Enhanced 2.0. Will you be doing something other than creating games? Okay, I think you're asking, like, as far as, like, I design games, will I be doing anything other than animation? Are you asking about me personally, or, like, the team? Sorry, I don't know if I'm reading that one correctly. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah, you mean for the company. So you're asking if we're going to do, like, YouTube animations, like the Joy Joy Gang raps. No, we're focused on the games right now. The YouTube content, I mean, we'd love to focus on that, but we're a game development studio, so we have to kind of focus on the games. And if we can do some fun YouTube content, that's why I kind of like partnering with other channels now to do that kind of stuff. Like we partner with Rocket Music and JT and them to do some, like, really cool videos. And we'd prefer, I think, in the future to do those kind of collaborations for like animations and videos and stuff, just because that really is like an effort or an undertaking that demands a lot of effort and work. And we're already kind of putting ourselves into our games, and that's our focus. So we want to work with pros whose focus is YouTube and doing that kind of stuff, and kind of be second fiddle to them and let those guys lead. And we just support them in any way we can to make, like, really cool Dark Deception content. Let's see. As far as new plot elements and Easter eggs on old levels, no, probably not. I think all the levels are pretty good to go. We may fix a couple things that were missing from some of the previous levels that are plot holes that we noticed. So you may see some small fixes like that where we kind of fix some things that we overlooked the first time. And then Enhance 2.0. I said that we are kind of visually upgrading the previous levels, but mostly that's with the lighting. So you're going to see better lighting in all the levels, and that will kind of give it a visual enhancement. Let's see. Mari Belvedere. Okay, Mari Belvedere. Through in 5. Hey, glad to see you're doing well. I have a question for Monsters and Mortals. Okay. Will there be a My Friendly Neighborhood map and other features? I thought it would have a good look, in my opinion. Actually, I think I talked to the My Friendly Neighborhood creator at one point about that, potentially doing a My Friendly Neighborhood DLC. We haven't really decided on anything yet. It was just a very kind of passive, quick discussion, but it's always possible. Once we get all this other stuff done, that something like that could be a future DLC. I think it would fit. It's kind of in the same kind of story and look that's popular in the YA indie horror genre. So I don't think it would be out of place at all. But we do have to kind of keep balance with our games. So if we get too much into like the indie horror, we try to balance it out by having AAA horror as well, because we want to represent the entire horror community with Monsters and Mortals, not just one side of it. So that's why I said we're not going to flood it with YouTubers and flood it with like kind of the trendy YouTube horror, indie horror games. We definitely want to have all aspects of horror gaming present, from AAA to old school retro horror that was revolutionary for or revolutionized horror, to the modern hits that are on YouTube, and even the ones that are not like indie horror YouTube games that are big hits, stuff like Resident Evil. If we can ever get a game that big, that kind of falls into AAA as well. But yeah, you kind of see what I'm going for. That's why we have Silent Hill. That's why we have Dark Pictures Anthology. We need that balance. Because a lot of kids on YouTube have no idea about anything outside of YouTube. So we want to make sure that we're introducing traditional gamers to YouTube indie horror, and we're introducing those YouTube horror communities to those big AAA and traditional horror franchises from consoles, that kind of thing, even PC. That's the exchange that we're going for, that kind of blend. Let's see. Lost my place. Autumn Azura threw another 2. Thank you, Autumn. Does Puppet King chase you outside of his battles? I can't say anything about Puppet King's behavior at this point. It's spoiler territory. So I can only tell you you'll see, but thank you again for your multiple contributions. And hopefully you'll get to find that out pretty soon at Tokyo Game Show, because we're showing the mall level. Let's see. Pup King 69 threw in another 2. Will Mama Bear get her own remix track? At this point, probably not. We just don't have time to go backwards and do that. I don't even know if we have time to do it for, for Chapter 5 enemies, to do like a Dark Star music video or a Puppet King. But actually, no, we're making that happen. So it will be for Chapter 5, but I think it's too late to go back for Mama Bear. We kind of kept Chapter 4 to the Joy Joy gang. The Reaper Nurse didn't really get one either. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 10. Thank you, Unicat. Red asks, can we get a community manager to improve communications with the community? Crazy Carnival Akami Soul Collection bug still isn't fixed. Also wasn't originally coded for people. Also, wasn't it originally coded for people? Okay. Oh, you're talking about Monsters and Mortals. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were talking about Dark Deception or Monsters and Mortals. I was trying to figure that out for a second. Okay. So, yeah. As far as like a full-time community manager goes, that's something that we'll bring on at some point, but we just don't have it right now. Again, small team. And as far as like bugs being fixed, we have to get through the other stuff first. We have obligations contractually to get our DLCs out. Once the DLCs are out, we can start going to upgrading the base game and fixing some bugs that some people have complained about. So far, we don't have any bugs that are mass reported, game-breaking bugs. So it's a lot of like little bugs that bother certain groups of people, and then we will go through and fix each one of those to kind of try to make everybody in a better place with the game. But obviously, there's always going to be little bugs, and we kind of fix them as we go. But we have to take care of the bigger stuff first. So a lot of times those will get kind of put on the back burner until those are done. So bear with us. We are going to get to them. It may not be as fast as you like, but we will get to everything eventually. Let's see. Justin Awesome threw in 5. Besides Lucky, will there be any other monsters that will have a power in Chapter 5? Also, does Super Horror Bro know anything about Chapter 5? Okay. Will there be any other monsters that have a power in Chapter 5? Well, I mean, we really haven't released any details about any monsters as far as what powers they have. I know, Lucky has his speed boost. Every enemy has an ability of some kind that they can utilize, as well as like a boss form or a boss character that serves them. So yeah, there will be more of that in Chapter 5 for Darkstar, for Puppet King, and for some of the other enemies as well. I can't elaborate on what those are at this time, but yeah, you can assume that is what's coming. Automazora threw in another 2. It says Darkstar's level, is it like Squid Games? Squid Games. Oh, right. That show. Sorry, it's been a while since I watched that. It didn't pop right into my head right away. So, no, I wouldn't say it's like that. It is a prison, but you'll see. I could quote some things, but they're kind of old, so I'm not going to. I'll let you all form your own judgment of it when you see it, what it's like. That's definitely a you'll see question. Sorry. But I appreciate the other, another multiple contribution from you and your continued support. So hopefully you get to see that soon. But yeah, for now, I can't give too many details. Justin Awesome threw in 5. What inspired the screen to go wary when Mama Bear is near? Also, at the end of Barely Buried, did Bierce open the portal or Tammy? Okay. So what inspired the screen to go... Okay, so what happens when the effect you see when Mama Bear's near is supposed to be her malice, her threatening aura. It's supposed to be kind of like a fear or intimidation from Mama Bear that kind of messes with Doug's head. And that's kind of represented with that effect. As far as the portal opening at the end, all I can tell you is that it was not Bierce that opened it. Let's see. Shosho Doopers threw in 2. Another 2. Thank you, Shosho, again. Will Evil Nun be able to be M&M or Monsters and Mortals DLC again? At this time, we don't have any plans for Evil Nun DLC for Monsters and Mortals. That's not to say it will never happen. We definitely have the material to create one. We'll just have to see if it's something that works for us and the Keplerians in the near future. Both of us, I don't think either of us have plans for that, but it's not something that's like in the trash can or off the table. So anything's possible. We'll see what the future holds. But for now, we already have a pretty big list of guest DLC to go through. So I think you'll be good either way, even if there never is an Evil Nun DLC. Unicat Ninjas asks, well, she threw in 5, so thank you again. And then she has another question from Red. I guess it's her friend. Can we get more dedicated skins for Monsters and Mortals? If Enhanced 2 happens, will boss fights also be adjusted? Especially Agatha. So, more skins for Monsters and Mortals, yes. I've mentioned that as soon as we get through our current kind of crop of work for Monsters and Mortals, we can turn our attention to the base game, which includes extra character skins. Just like we kind of did before. When we were focused on the base game, we did like Halloween and Christmas skins. We could do something like that again. To kind of compensate for the kind of time gap between the character skins, we never make them expire like most games do, where they're just temporary. You can use them as long as you want. We'll probably do that with all our character skins, that they'll just be, once they're unlocked, you have them forever. As far as Enhanced 2, like I said, that's just going to be more of a lighting upgrade for the game, which will improve things visually. And we're going to do that for all levels. Justin Awesome threw another 5. Thank you, Justin, again. Hey, Vince, have you checked out the Dark Deception fan game animatronic Atrocity? Also, was Penny the Panda inspired by Pandori from The Hug? Okay, so 2 questions. Animatronic Atrocity. So actually, no, I haven't seen that game. I think I saw a thumbnail of the art for the game, but I haven't actually seen the game yet. So that's a no on that one. Um, if there's a link to like the Game Jolt page, maybe I can check it out, or if it's on itch.io, I can check it out there. Let me see. Penny the Panda, was that inspired by Pandori? Actually, I love the hug. I love Pandori, but that was actually designed before that came into play. So before the hug came out, I was already drawing the Joy Joy gang like way back in like late 2014, and she was kind of the first Penny. So before I replaced her with Penny the chicken, she was Penny the panda, and that was just kind of born from I like pandas, so no reason other than that, you know. Pen's Taiwanese. I'm already very comfortable with Asian culture, so I see pandas a lot. I just like pandas. Let me see. Joshua Time Cartoon threw in another 2. Thank you again. What they call Malik. Oh, this one I don't understand. It says what they call Malik for Puppet King and Darkstar. Oh, what do they call Malik? Like, do they have a pet name? Kind of like Reaper Nurse and Mama Bear did, and even the Joy Joy gang did. Lucky called him Boss. So, yeah, all of the characters have kind of a pet term for Malik that they kind of use for their interactions with him, which kind of gives them all their own a little bit of a extra character, in that they don't just call him Malik. They all have some little nickname for him. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 2. Will you post Scrap Chapter 5 OSTs soon? Not soon, but after the game releases, yes. Just like I did with Chapter 4 and the previous chapters, but those were all released after those chapters had gone out. So yeah, I'm not going to drop Scrap Chapter 5 OSTs before Chapter 5 drops. That will help people guess a lot of stuff. Zian threw in 5. Thank you, Zian. That's another contribution. Can you give us more hints toward Dark Deception, or sorry, Dark Star or Puppet King personalities? I can't really go into their personalities. I'm gonna save that for maybe a voice reveal, and you can kind of form your interpretation of their personality from their voice lines. But I'm not gonna just like flat out tell you what they're like. That's kind of something you discover as you progress through the game, and that's part of the Dark Deception experience, is kind of learning about the characters as you go through it. So if I just flat out, read off everything about them prior to Chapter 5, that just destroys the experience for everyone that wanted to learn it, as they play. So I can't do that. That's a you'll see one, but thank you for supporting us, and thank you for asking anyway. YouTube doing you. I thought I was gonna get through a whole live stream without that YouTube jump. So did it? I gotta find my place. One sec. Wow, that's a big one. Okay. Okay, I found it. All right, I'm back. Kelvin 1212 or 1228 through in HK10. Thank you, Kelvin. Will the mannequin change colors in frenzy mode? Yes. Justin Awesome threw in 5. Can we get a hint of the monsters' soul types for Chapter 5? Will Monsters Mortals come to Switch via Switch Online if it does? Well, the first one is a you'll see question. I can't tell you anything about the monsters or their backgrounds or their lore. That's all, post-release. You got to play it to find out or watch it on YouTube. As far as the Switch Online, that is a interesting option. I don't think we'll need that. We already have it running pretty well on Switch for, well, oh, I'm sorry, you said Monsters and Mortals. Actually, that should be even easier. I hope. fingers crossed, knock on wood, everything I have to say. We've gotten Dark Deception running on Switch pretty well without sacrificing the visuals too much. Monsters Immortals is more optimized than Dark Deception, so I believe we won't need Switch Online, like any kind of cloud streaming, to make that run. Um, but yeah, well, that remains to be seen. I can't promise anything for Monsters Immortals on Switch at this point because I honestly, we're not that far into the porting to know. So I don't want to get your hope up and then find out later that the Switch port is impossible. But at least I can tell you, Super Dark Deception and Dark Deception are definitely coming to Switch. Autumn Azor through and 2 again. Is a college degree necessary to do what you do? No, I don't think it is. I would say if you want to be a game developer, regardless of which aspect of game development you want to do, if you want to be like me, I'm actually a generalist. So I do many things because I was trained in many things and I've worked as many jobs. So I've worked as an artist, I've worked as a UI, UX designer. I've done some coding, very little scripting. I have basic scripting knowledge. So that at least allows me to, compile and run code to upload things and write my own little UI script buttons. And I do concept design and I do animation and I'll do something more technical like rigging. All of those are now standalone disciplines. When I was training, they were all kind of merged together. They expected you to learn everything and they expected you to do everything. Now you can specialize in one area, but I think if you only specialize in one area, it makes you maybe less adaptable and less valuable than if you learn multiple skill sets. If you want your career to be more secure, especially now with kind of the advent of AI and certain things are being handled by AI, the more you know, the better. And all of my point is all of those disciplines that I do, you don't need a college degree for those. What you do need is excellent training. So you need to find excellent sources of education. There's several sources of that now. You can go to like Masterclass or Udemy or everything's online now. You can teach yourself a lot of this stuff even through YouTube. They have all kinds of courses for whether you want to do programming or art or music. If you want to be a composer, you don't need to go $100,000 into debt by going to a private art school to pursue a career in games. So I can tell you now, I've hired artists, managers, programmers, every position in game development. I've hired them for large companies like EA and Zynga and Microsoft. Never once did we look at their college degree. Not once. Not even for the programmers. We would look and see like, oh, where'd they go to school? But we usually gave them a grueling test that they had to solve, and we judged them based on how they performed in that. So when I was at Zynga, we had a thing called the elevator test for programmers, and we had art tests for artists. The college degree wasn't really important. I think the value that a lot of people still claim you get out of college is that camaraderie, the community. So you can form connections by going through 4 years of further education with people who are kind of on the same path as you and have the same skill sets or they're better than you. You can kind of learn from them and grow with them. I think you can also accomplish that by doing a non-traditional path. So if you go to a lot of game meetups, a lot of industry events or conventions, you can meet those same kind of people that way. So I usually tell people if you're going into a passion career, something like cooking, game development, music, those kind of career fields, you don't need a college degree. You just need persistence, talent, a really good work ethic, and again, persistence. And you can achieve it. Just to give you an example, I think my wife worked with a guy somewhere. I'm trying to remember where she worked. It was a film studio, and one of her coworkers had never finished elementary school. So he had a hard life. He had never finished elementary school, and he was still there working in a film studio on one of the biggest films released that year. So if you have the work ethic and the talent, anything's possible. Sorry, that was a long response to that one, but I felt like that's a very interesting question, and I don't get that kind of question very often. So there you go. That's my take on a college degree for the gaming industry. Unicut Ninjas threw in two. How long have you been working on Chapter 5? Well, let's see, Chapter 4 came out almost 2 years ago, so we were working on Chapter 5 while working on Chapter 4. So over 2 years now, probably two and a half. It's a very big chapter, put it that way. This is easily something a much larger team would be needed to work on, and we're putting it together with our little scrappy band. So yeah, it's taking a while, but it's we're at the end of the road now. So hopefully soon we can get it into your hands, and then you'll understand once you see it. It's much bigger and better than Chapter 4. Justin Awesome threw in five. Again, thank you, Justin. Duck's face on the sheet behind you used to be bloody with his teeth showing. Out of curiosity, why'd you change it on the Steam page and Twitter page? Well, that was the original art of Doug, and we were kind of going for this like, if any of you watch like Meat Canyon, some people were surprised I watched Meat Canyon. I do. He loves this thing called Garbage Pail Kids, and it's like this old 80s 90s sticker series that kind of spoofed the Cabbage Patch Kids, and it's just grotesque. Like it's always like something with mucus or snot or like body fluids and gross stuff. It's just all about being gross. So we were kind of giving Doug that same kind of vibe where he's just this ridiculous impression of Doug, and he's like all beat up and bleeding, and he's got goofy teeth and a goofy face. And we were happy with that at first, and then we looked at it and we were like, it's kind of ugly. And we were like, let's make it a little better. And then we just improved it. So I went back and repainted Doug's face, and I like the new version better, so I just stuck with it. And Penn likes it a lot better, so we're just keeping that one. Looks much better on a game cover. Artsman threw in five. Thank you, Artsman. Again, hey Vince, what is up with the 2 extra power slots in Super Dark Deception? Is it a placeholder or what? 2 extra power slots. Trying to think what you're referring to, because the tablet still only has 2 power slots. So, oh, I know what you're referring to. Okay, so you're referring to the ring altar. Well, just take that as a hint. I'm not going to tell you what it's for, but take it as a hint of things to come. Ziani threw in another 5. Thank you again. Are there more characters with motion captured animations? Can you show us some of Prison Panic's motion captured animations? Well, I can tell you right away, I cannot show you any of the animations. Not yet. Maybe after release, I'll do like a little post-mortem where I'll show behind the scenes on the whole animation work and motion capture process. Actually, we are recording that, so there will be a video on that at some point. And are there any more motion captured characters? No, it's only going to be Darkstar for this one. So this is kind of our test for motion capturing with the characters to kind of cut our teeth on that, because we've never done motion capture before. This is all kind of new to us. But it is going to become a permanent part of our pipeline for Dark Deception sequel. So while you might only see Darkstar, and it's not out of place, it fits with the game, you're going to see what we learned and applied to Darkstar applied to the sequel for Dark Deception for all characters. So this is kind of your preview of things to come. Satan. Oh, we got Satan in the room. Okay, Satan threw in 2 pounds. Will there be multiple endings in Chapter 5? Yes, there will be. Justin Awesome threw in 5. Thank you, Justin. Why don't the Gold Watchers and Torment Therapy chase you in the escape sequence? It's funny when they're invisible. The nurses don't see you when you're invisible. Um, oh yeah, the Gold Watchers are just there to have some tea and enjoy. You know, that's kind of like their time off. They're just there to chill. And then by the time you're escaping, they've been cleared out. That lobby is empty except for the Reaper nurses, so they're not there to chase you. Justin threw in another 5. He's got another question. Thank you again. Last question: will there be 2 extra powers in Dark Deception and Super Dark Deception? If so, then can you give us a hint on what they are? Well, I said that is the hint. That those 2 extra slots. I can't tell you what they are, but just take that as a hint of what's coming. But thank you again. You've given multiple contribution or multiple donations today. I appreciate the support. Automazora threw in 2 again. Will Poppy Playtime Monsters Immortals update with Purple Monster? I can't reveal what the extra characters are yet, but you'll see. Purple Monster, for Chapter 3, they haven't really shared any details on that. So I guess I can say right away that no, it has nothing with Chapter 3 in it. We have $1 donation from Weird. There's no name, and the message is retracted. So, mystery person with a Reaper Nurse PFP, thank you for your donation. Zian Nee threw another 5. Thank you, Zian. How many new DLCs will you announce in Tokyo Game Show? Well, the Phase 3 list is going to be 3 new DLCs. Some of them you already know. Some will be new. I can guarantee you at least one of them will be new that you've never heard before. Judinator threw in 5. Thank you, Judinator. 1. A bug in Monsters Immortal causes the hosting toggle resets every time it opens the game. 2. Hosting toggle. 2. Will you look into how Project Playtime does peer-to-peer? I actually don't know anything about Project Playtime or how they handle whether they're using servers or peer-to-peer. Something to look into, I guess. But as far as the hosting toggle resetting every time you open the game, yeah, that's by design. So it will not remember your setting for having hosting turned on and off. So you just have to kind of like retoggle that each time you start the game again. Automazora threw in 2. Let's see. What's the first step of being a game dev? Well, it depends on what job you're doing. First step of any game design is usually the prototyping. So you got to find the fun first, the core loop. That's usually the first step of any design process for game development. Is you have to find the fun first. If you look for a story first without finding the fun gameplay mechanics, your game may not be worth playing. But if it can be fun, no matter what it is, no matter what the story is, if it at its foundation it's fun, and you have a good fun core loop, then it doesn't really matter what the story or the theme of the game is. It will still be fun. So I would say that's the first step, is finding the fun. Let's see. UBF 13 threw in at 5. Thank you. Is the prison panic we got inspired by the prison from Little Nightmares? I can see that from the concept art we posted. I would say it was unintentionally inspired by Little Nightmares. Like, it definitely does vibe like Little Nightmares in the concept art. So I would say that it's definitely valid that we were subconsciously inspired by Little Nightmares and the fact of the atmosphere in the game, because they've already done that, so we have to acknowledge that that's there and that ours has definitely been inspired by that. Let's see. Vander threw in 2 Real. Thank you, Vander. Progress archiving 2014 school. I'm willing to help. Actually, I've had several people ask me about that. I think I may have found the file. There were a couple fans that were asking me about it through Twitter. and I was going to send it to them, but I don't think they followed up on it. So I may post that in the uh, Glowstick Entertainment Discord. I'll just drop it into one of the chat channels, and you all have at it and see if you can get it working. It's an old Unity project folder from a previous version of Unity, whatever the build was back in 2014. And we simply don't have the time to get it up and working. So if anyone in the community can get it working and wants to play it and it's, share it with the rest of the Dark Deception community, I will probably throw that in there at some point this week. Or, sorry, next week. Let's see. Zian Nee threw in another 2. Thank you, Zian. Darkstar's favorite drink? It's a good question. Maybe I have to design one for her. To be determined. We'll put it that way for now. Pro Gamer threw in €5. Thank you, Pro. Will the enhancement of Dark Deception chapters 1 to 4 also include small gameplay balancing changes? Chapters 1 through 4, that's purely visual. Anything else is going to be probably lore balancing. So if anybody has any kind of nitpicks with the gameplay, that's not going to be addressed. It's only going to be probably lighting and the lore balancing, anything that we see with the writing that needs to be improved. As we've said, any bugs that you see in Chapter 4 have likely already been fixed. They're just not released until the final build of the game goes out. Let's see. We got 2 from Mystery Contributor that has no name. Any updates on the Piggy DLC? What is the map? The map remains to be seen. We're still kind of talking about that with Minitoon. As far as the Piggy DLC, that's something we'll shed a little bit more light on at Tokyo Game Show. Let's see. Autumn Azor threw in 2 again. Thank you, Autumn. OST's making progress. Oh, sorry. OST making process. Explain, please. Well, that is not really my process to explain. That belongs to Daniel Dombrowski. And I think that's kind of like his family's secret. He's not going to share it. Me and Dan have our own process where we kind of work together on each track. Sometimes Dan needs my involvement. Many times he doesn't. He can just nail things. I'm more of like a producer-director on the music. What that means is if Dan can get it based on the style and direction that I'm going for, he will usually get it right away, and we'll have an awesome track. But there's many times where it's something Dan's not familiar with or a style he's never done before, and I have to kind of lay it out for him and design the track, and then he can kind of use his talent to bring it to the finish line. And that's kind of how we work together. But as far as his music making process, what instruments he uses, what sound libraries, what software, someday take his master class. I'm sure he'll have one at some point. I really can't speak for Dan. Pro Gamer threw in 5. Is that euros or pounds? Euros. Thank you again. Are you going to bring back the original anti-aliasing and motion blur into the game when Chapter 5 releases? I wasn't aware that they were removed. I think those used to be settings. Well, actually, no, we did gut the options menu at some point between Chapter 3 and 4, or Nixon did. So we're probably, like I said, we're kind of bringing in a new options menu. We can kind of confirm that anti-aliasing and motion blur are in there so that you can turn them on and off, because I know a lot of people are bothered by motion blur and it makes them sick. I don't think we're going to have anything in there. I don't know. Well, I don't know if we're going to have anti-aliasing. Yeah, we will. I've seen that. So it'll have like anti-aliasing. You can set that and your resolution size for the screen and all that. That'll all be under video settings. Justin Awesome threw in 5 again. Thank you, Justin. Why do you feel so... Oh, that's a repeat. Okay, I'm going to skip that one because it's a repeat of the same question I answered earlier. Zia Nee, I hope you weren't double charged, though. Either way, thank you again for supporting us with that one. Hopefully you were only charged once. Zia Nee threw in 2. How fast are PP enemies for Prison Panic? Well, I haven't said what the enemies are yet. I haven't shown anything about them or who they are or what they are, so I can't tell you how fast they are. So that one is definitely a you'll see question. But thank you again for the other multiple contributions. Blue Kirby Games threw in 5. Will you consider collabing with At Dead of Night for Monsters and Mortals? That sounds familiar. Dead of Night. What is that? Okay, yeah, that was the live action hotel game. That's kind of like a horror film. So that one would be hard to do because it's so unique in its presentation and it really needs that live action feel to kind of fit. And we've already got a hotel map, so it would just be like a duplicate hotel map, just a little bit different. Their hotel kind of looks like our hotel. So I probably wouldn't do At Dead of Night just because I don't feel like it has anything new to add to Monsters and Mortals other than the fact that it was well received. Unicat Ninjas threw another 5. Thank you again. Can you post all the level 10 OSTs after Chapter 5 comes out? Oh, that's a repeat question again. I think some of these got, like, duplicated. That's weird. Yeah, we already answered that one, so I'll skip past that one. Pro Gamer threw in another €5. Thank you. Okay, this one's not repeated. Have you decided which zones from Holiday Horror and Prison Panic you will show in Tokyo Game Show? I'm not going to say at this time what zone from Holiday Horror, but we're not showing Prison Panic. We're showing Holiday Horror, which is the 9th level. Basically, we're just going to show a segment of the game. I'm not going to specify where in the level that segment is. That way it doesn't spoil anything for people when they play the game. They're like, okay, I know exactly what to expect when I get to this moment. And it may be, you know, different from what's going to be in the final game. See, Mr. Mister threw in 5. Will Zone 3 of Holiday Horror be as surreal as Production Factory is in Monsters and Mortals, or the Hell Caves and Barely Buried? Yeah, I would say I can't specifically say Zone 3, but there is some surreal environments in Holiday Horror. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 10. Let me see. Sorry, I got to decipher this one a little bit. It says, have you ever broken the ears growing on your toes because your meatless dog was trying to cook boneless pizza in the freezer? You might be compensated to free potatoes to keep your funny phone from being serious. I'll take that one as not a question. But thank you for pitching in again, Unicat. always keeping me awake. Pro Gamer threw in €2. Thank you. Will there be any big gameplay changes in Dark Deception 2? Yeah, definitely. I can't elaborate on them right now because we're still on Chapter 5. But yeah, Dark Deception 2, whatever we haven't announced like the final title of it. We're just kind of calling it Dark Deception 2 for now. It is definitely different. It's similar, but it's different. Justin Awesome threw another 5. I meant to ask, why did you give Lucky the power to speed boost like you? I mean, he's a killing machine. That's just one of his powers. It was inevitable that there was going to be something as fast as the player. Might as well be lucky. Let's see. AJ Bullman threw in 2. That's just a donation. Thank you. Let's see. Puragon Entertainment threw in £5. Thank you very much. Is that color for Malik on the banner a hint towards his ultimate form in Chapter 5? No. That's just basically the lighting in that banner art for Monsters and Mortals. Mary Belvedere threw in another 5. Thank you again for your multiple contributions. Is there any updates on adding the mortal Shogun himself, Corey? Or is that a you'll see kind of question? No, actually, the Corey DLC is actually done. We just have to kind of find a point to release it. So we'll have a better idea of that in time for Tokyo Game Show, but it is coming soon, possibly very soon. So yeah, that's not a bad question at all. Definitely not a you'll see. To Bub 45 through in 2. Are the clown gremlin cars living sentient? No, they're more magical. So they're just a tool of the clown gremlins. Automazora through in 2. Does HH have trains or elevators or other transit? I can't really say about anything in the level. That's definitely a you'll see question. But I mean, that's a reasonable assumption that one of those things is there. Brendan San Miguel threw in 2, and he just says cool. Thank you again for your multiple contributions. Yoshi threw in Hong Kong 10. Thank you again. Will Nixon take part in the production of Dark Deception 2? Possibly. I mean, we're still working on Chapter 5, so I haven't even really discussed. I mean, Dark Deception 2 is in the design phase right now. We're not in production on Dark Deception 2, so there's no code work taking place. Right now, Nixon's focus is on Dark Deception and Chapter 5. We actually, like, Super Dark Deception is not being done by Nixon. It's actually being done by a different programmer who I haven't introduced yet. So, yeah, different coders are handling different projects. I actually have no idea who's going to work on Dark Deception 2 yet, because I'm not even fully onto that project yet. Autumn Azure, which is the harder... Oh, you threw in another 2. Thank you again. Which is harder, cooler... Oh, sorry. Again, it's like 3 a.m. here. I'm losing my ability to read. Which is harder / cooler, Prison Panic or Holiday Horror? I mean, that's really kind of subjective, I guess. It's up to you what your personal tastes are. One level may appeal to you more than the other. Personally, I think they're both really cool. I can't really pick a favorite. They both offer something very unique. So, as far as which one's harder, probably... well, even that... I would say for now, I would say Holiday Horror is harder. Simply because the mannequins are miserable. But that could either be... That could easily be Prison Panic as well. Let's see, Shadow X Acno threw in... Oh, no, sorry, wrong one. Judinator threw in 2. Has Nixon shown you any of TJOC Ignited Collection? No, actually, I haven't seen any of it, like actually tested it out and played it. I've seen him posting about it on Twitter, so I've seen, like, the renders and stuff. But, yeah, I haven't asked him for it. If I asked him to show me some of it, I'd probably get a look at it, but I'm not gonna, like, pressure him to show it to me just because we're busy with Dark Deception. But, I mean, it's looking cool. I think it looks awesome, and it's Unreal Engine 5, so it probably looks better than, like, you know... Of course, it's going to look a lot better than the previous TGOC, which was done in... I don't think it was Unity. It was Unreal Engine 4, but it was, like, one of the really old versions of Unreal Engine 4, so... I mean, as far as FNAF animatronics go, his actually looks scary. I never thought... And again, you know, FNAF fans, don't come after me. I never thought the FNAF animatronics really looked that scary. Like, especially the original ones, and when they made them cute and stuff in you know, the second game. But Nixon's look actually scary, so I think that right away makes it of interest to me. Because, you know, I want my animatronics to be scary and kind of freaky a bit. Or at least very dark. You know, the Joy Joy gang goes more dark than, like, traditional horror scary, and that's simply a result of our audience. But I wouldn't want them to be cute. Let's see. Mannequin threw in 5. Again, how much harder will the Jug boss fight in Chapter 2? Wait, okay, I gotta decipher this a little bit. How much more hard will the Jug boss fight in Chapter 2? And also, hey, I'm a mannequin. I got a spoiler, so spoiler 1. I am sharp on my arm, legs, and head. Okay. I don't know what the Jug boss is. Chapter 2. Uh, Thanks. I don't know how to respond to that one. But also, yes, you are a mannequin. And you chose the right mannequin. James Smith threw in £2. Thank you. Or €2, sorry. How big is Mascot Mayhem? Um, which one? For Dark Deception or Super Dark Deception? I'm just going to assume both. Um, well, I mean, comparison to Chapter 5, I think in Chapter 4, it was kind of on par with Mama Bear's level as being the biggest in the game. But now with Chapter 5's level, it's no longer the biggest in the game. Probably, I would say Prison Panic has that honor now. No, not Prison Panic. One of the unannounced levels, which I will not announce now, is actually much larger. So I have to give it to that one. So it is not Prison Panic or Holiday Horror that is the largest. It is a different level. And all of those levels are larger than Mascot Mayhem and Barely Buried. Okay. Alp threw in 2001. Do Puppet King and Darkstar's range attack stun us? I haven't described any of their attacks. But do they have... Let's just simplify that down to, do Darkstar and Puppet King have a stun attack? I would say Puppet King, yes. Darkstar, no. And Alp threw another 2001. Are there any level 10 OSTs uploaded? If so, how many? Currently, I have not uploaded any of the level 10 Prison Panic OSTs, simply because they're very spoilery, because they use vocals. Most of the tracks in level 10 have lyrics. So I don't want to spoil the level, thus we're not going to release those before the game releases. So apologies in advance, but maybe we'll release one of the level 10 tracks that's more of a traditional Dark Deception track and it doesn't have any words. But there's not actually many of those for that level, so... I'm going to get through some of the other tracks first, and then we'll put maybe a couple level 10 tracks in. Adam Azur threw in 2. Again, thank you. Does the blob chase or just exist everywhere? Well, the blob thing that everyone has kind of dubbed the blob, I can't say what it does or where it appears, so you'll see. I haven't defined what that thing is, what role it plays in Chapter 5, where it appears, or what level it's in, or what it even is, or what its name is. So I'm just going to leave it at that for now. That is definitely one of the surprises of Chapter 5, and you'll see what I mean when you see it. It's not what you think it is. Gabe threw in $8. Thank you, Gabe. Will Chapter 5 enemies have most abilities over the other chapter's enemies? Oh, will the Chapter 5 enemies have the most abilities even more than the other chapter's enemies? I would say Holiday Horror adds a lot of abilities simply because the sheer variety of enemies in that level. It gives a pretty wide mixture of abilities. Prison Panic... and the fact that everybody comes back in some of the other levels, yeah, it's just way more in this chapter than anything in the previous chapters. It's like night and day. See, Alp threw in another 2001. Thank you, Alp. Can Darkstar transform, and does Darkstar have minions? Well, those are spoiler questions, so I can't answer them. Does she have minions? I guess I can... say that one. Yes, she does have minions. I just haven't shown what they are yet. So I guess you got 1 out of 2. That's not too bad. I don't have to give it the complete you'll see response. It's partial. It's like half you'll see, and I answered the other one. So thank you again for your contribution. Pro Gamer threw in another €5. Thank you again. Does the flowers Darkstar has have any influence in the gameplay? Oh, okay. The roses on her. Um, no, that's not really related to her abilities. That's just more of her style. Autumn Azor threw in another 2 voice reveals of Darkstar and Puppet King. Yeah. So I will at some point do voice reveals for both Darkstar, which is Adriana, and Puppet King, which you all know the voice actor for Puppet King, William C. Stevens. So I'll do a voice reveal for both of them at some point. It's just not ready yet. Tabub45 threw in another 2. Could Nathan Barnett voice a Dark Deception character? Well, our cast for Dark Deception is set at this point, so the first game is completely done as far as voice casting. We have an incredible voice cast for the first game. I'm really honored that some of the names we've been able to work with, like, well, pretty much everybody. So I am not upset at all with the voice cast we've had for Dark Deception. I feel very lucky to be able to get so many awesome actors involved. And I hope we can top that in Dark Deception too, whenever we get to that. Unicat and Ingest threw another 5. Hanging punch in the walls because he can't run through the walls. That boy recalls the times he went to the malls and bought all the dolls. Wahoo. Oh, you're dropping rhymes now. Okay. Oh, come on, YouTube. Don't do the jump. Okay, whoa. Okay, that one was small. I got lucky. Sushi Astro threw in a €1. Thank you. And that's just a donation. Appreciate the support. Let's see. Autumn Azor threw another 2. How will the chapter 1 through 4 monsters react towards you in chapter 5? Well, that remains to be seen. You will get to interact with them. So you'll see how that plays out when chapter 5 drops. That's a you'll see one, man. Sorry. Unicat Ninjas threw another 10. Thank you again. When a world play lobby fills, it immediately goes to character select without displaying the map mods. Is this intended? If not, can it be fixed so we can select the appropriate characters? Wait, let me read that again. When a world play lobby fills, it immediately goes to character select without displaying the map mode. Oh, yeah. So the immediate start was intended because many, many, many people complained about the wait. So some of you seem like you liked that, but so many people did not. Also, the reason a lot of people didn't like it is because people would use that as an excuse to quit. So they'd be like, oh, I don't like that mode, or I don't like that map, and they'd quit out, and then everyone would have to wait again. So yes, that was intentional. A lot of you may not, some of you may not like that, but it's there to stay. Because the majority requested it. It will not be fixed because it's not a bug. So to the people that liked it the way it was, I'm sorry, but you got outvoted. Let's see. Mono Crabtree threw in $1. Thank you very much. Lofabri threw in 5. Thank you. Would you say you are over halfway done with development on Chapter 5, or is there a more specific percentage you're allowed to share? Well, I can't give you a specific percentage, but I can say yes, we're over halfway done. Just to keep it broad and general. But thank you for the donation and supporting us. Unicat and Jess is supporting us again with another 5. Monsters Immortals VC members ask, will you do more skins that change the character models than simply recolors? I think for the existing models, we just do mostly reskins because that's fast and it's something we can get done quickly. Doing complete remodels would make... Basically, you'd have to charge you money because that costs a lot of money to make. So we like being able to give the skins for free in the game and make it something that you just buy with basic, fictional currency in the game. Whereas like other games, that would be a DLC item that you'd have to buy and pay real money. We don't want to do that. So a lot of the costumes will do just basic reskins to make it look more interesting. So if the community gets tired of that and they want to pay real money for more interesting costumes, we can definitely add that to our workload and do something like that. But for now, that's just not on our list at this moment. But we can always put that to a vote later on and see what people think. So if they really want like an awesome Dread Ducky unique costume that's not, just a reskin, it's a completely new mesh. We can discuss and see if there's enough interest. Because a lot of times people tell us they want stuff, but then when we put in the time and the effort and the money to make it, they don't come out for it. So we'd have to do something where it's like we can gauge and see if that interest is actually real. Let's see, Vander threw in another 2 reals. Thank you, Vander. HMU, can you fix? Or HMU, can you fix 2014 school easy? I'm on the Discord. Okay, so if HMU can fix it, then that's great. I'm just gonna drop it in there for everybody, and whoever fixes it first, share it with everyone, so you all can suffer how bad that level was. It's basically a rage quit level because you can never win. It was so. Agatha was so OP in that old demo. There's just no way to win. I don't even think you can actually win. I think it's broken at the end, so you can't even escape. Maybe somebody wants to fix it. How many tracks have lyrics in Prison Panic? And that's from Jason. He threw in 2. Thank you, Jason, again. How many tracks have lyrics? Quite a few. I would just leave it at that number for now. I would say a few. Whoops. Yoshi threw in Hong Kong 10. Another one. Any mannequins faster than max speed boost? No. So usually the speed boost, at least if you have it fully powered, is faster than all enemies. Otherwise, the game will be unfair. But you do have to have it, fully leveled up. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Shadow X Axno asks, on your tweet about SDD, did you mean chapters 1 through 4? No, it's only chapters 1 through 3 that I'm announcing release dates for right now. Chapter 4's release date will be set a little bit later, but that one's coming as well. So my goal is, and this is only for PC and console, or not console, PC and mobile, is that on console, we gave the extended demo because we cannot drop further demos. There's only one demo, and we have to release the game as a complete game. We can't release it episodic. It doesn't work that way on consoles. So the extended demo was kind of like a holdover since they have to wait longer to get the complete game. For everyone on PC and mobile, there's no such condition. So we can release chapters and episodic just like we did Dark Deception and allow them to catch up to the PC players, or I'm sorry, the 3D players of 3D Dark Deception, so that everybody is through Chapter 4 and everybody's playing Chapter 5 together at the same time. So that's kind of our goal with Super Dark Deception as well, is that before Dark Deception drops, so all the Super Dark Deception players get to play through Chapters 1 to 4. So that Chapter 5, it releases with the complete Super Dark Deception game, and then Dark Deception has the final chapter and the complete game dropping at the same time. So everybody gets to play Chapter 5 at the same time for both games. Puppet King threw another 2. When can we get Puppet King boss theme? Actually, it's a good question. I thought we already put it up, but maybe we didn't. If it's not up yet, we can probably put it up fairly soon. I'll double check. But thanks for bringing that to my attention. Shark Fans 2 threw in 5. Thank you again. Would it be possible for you to play some Dark Deception fan games as part of a charity live stream? Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mentioned before that probably around Halloween I'm going to do another charity stream. I don't know if I'll do it for Oars or for a different organization. I want to look through and pick something that, I feel like when I watch the charity live streams, it's always the same ones. So I want to pick one that I feel like is neglected or doesn't get as much attention. I kind of felt that way about Oars because I didn't feel like I ever saw anybody raising money for autism organizations. And, autism's like a big theme in Dark Deception. We wanted to contribute to that. So we could do that again in Halloween, or we could choose a different charity and then play games that kind of relate, or just horror games in general, to raise money for that. I always like helping a good cause, so we'll kind of see what is the best course of action around Halloween, but I think we'll definitely do it around Halloween. It just makes the most sense. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, feel free to drop them in to the Discord server. I'll kind of hear about it through the moderators, or I'll see it myself, and we can kind of make a list. We've still got a couple months, so there's plenty of time. See, Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Want a hangry plushie? I can get you one. Yeah, bro, because you don't want to be caught. What? You don't, you don't want to be one. Can't catch me. 3 steps and you're done. Can't hog the ribs. Yeah, that's a pun. Wahoo. I want to hear you spitting bars, because I want to hear if you can just blurt this out in like 3 seconds flat without missing a beat, because I don't have the beat in my head to read through that. And then another one from Unicat. She actually threw in 7. That's like multiple contributions for her. Appreciate it. Vader Game. This one's from another person. Vader Gamer asks, "Do you plan to collab with It's Steels?" I'm actually not familiar with that one. It's Steels. Oh, this is one with. Oh, Markiplier played it. Challenging experiment in survival horror revolving around stealthy and unpredictable monstrosities. I actually haven't heard of or seen this one yet. So, oh, it's from last year. Okay. Maybe not, because I never heard of that one and it's over a year old. I guess if it catches on, there's too many other ones that are bigger that I'd probably go with first. But hey, it could be an unappreciated gem that takes off like Among Us did at any point. So, never say never. I'm always open to anything. As long as it adds something to the game and it has, enough people to support the DLC. That's a big thing. It's got to have the support. Okay, that's the end of the super chats. Awesome. So thank you all for your awesome contributions and support. I'm going to jump into the emails now, and I'll come back to the super chats afterwards. Don't worry. If some of you are like rushing to send one in right now, I'll still come back. And then I'll take some questions from the chat as well. So let me see. One second. Just got to pop the email. Chapter 2, Portal 2. Okay, somebody was asking, let's see, we got a question from Kyler just asking if Chapter 2's Portal 2 coming on mobile. I think they mean like the second level, Deadly Decadence. Yes. So chapters 1 through 2 are going to be basically together. So right now you can get the demo of chapter 1, which is Monkey Business, but it's incomplete. It doesn't have access to the options menu. It doesn't have access to the extras. It's just a demo. This will be complete. It will have all of those included, as well as chapters 2 levels, level 2 and 3 with Agatha and the Gold Watchers. So that will be basically the Dark Deception chapter 1 and 2 combo release. And then the other purchasable DLC will be chapter 3, which will include levels 4 and 5, the Duckies, and the Clown Gremlins. And then from there, we'll have chapter 4. So there will only be, for Super Dark Deception, there will be 4 chapters. And the way we're doing it this way, instead of like the previous way, which was to give out chapter 1 for free, is because we're already doing that. We have the free demo. You can go play the first level at least. You just won't have any other functionality in the game. And there actually is another function that I've mentioned, is with the title screen. When you beat levels, the enemies will show up on the title screen. It's kind of fun. But that also allows us to use Steam trading cards, which is something we all enjoy. They don't allow that for free games. So we're not doing that for Super Dark Deception. It's going to be packaged together. That way we can fully utilize all of Steam's extra options, like the trading cards and stuff that's not available for free games. Okay, let me see. Oh, somebody just sent in a question I got from Mugshots21. It says, "Hey Vince, I have a question about Monsters and Mortals. In the future, will you be able to do a crossover with controversial horror games like Manhunt, Rule of Rose, etc.? I think something like Manhunt may be a little bit too brutal and violent, although I think it's kind of tame by today's standards. Back in the day, it was pretty polarizing. It had, had a lot of controversy. Rule of Rose, same thing, but I think it had a very important message. I could definitely see something like Rule of Rose more than Manhunt. But yeah, I really love those old obscure horror gems like that. I think Haunting Ground is another one. If any of you don't know what the heck I'm talking about right now, just go look up like old Atlas and Capcom horror games from PlayStation 2. There were a lot of good gems on PlayStation 2 that just kind of got buried and lost in time, but they deserve to be kind of dug up and enjoyed again. Let me see. One second. Kind of going through some of the email right now, so I'm just kind of checking out some of the latest emails dropped in so I can get some of those included. See, Joshua Dowdle asks, when are we going to get more soundtracks for Chapter 5? As I kind of said, that Chapter 5 tracks, there's no, set release schedule for them. I can't really promise any further tracks, but of course, I'm going to release Chapter 5 tracks as we go, all the way up till the release of Chapter 5. I'm not promising that we're going to release every single track. Some of them do spoil the game, so they will not be released ever until after the game is out. Just like chapters 1 through 4, we will have an album, like a mini album for Chapter 5 that has all of the Chapter 5 music. And it will be sold on the same markets as all of the Chapter 1 through 4 music is currently, through Daniel Dabrowski's name. So you can expect to see that at some point. I don't know when, but it'll be probably like close to release or right after. Probably right before release. See, we've got Emoji X asks, "Hey Vince, hope you're doing well. My question for this Q&A is, when playing holiday horror, are players going to be mostly chased, or are chases going to be rare?" I would I would feel pretty safe on betting on mostly chased. So yeah, I don't think chases are going to be rare for holiday horror. Okay, we've got one from Indie Horror Fan. He says, "Hello, Glowstick Entertainment team. I have a question for Dark Deception Q&A live stream number 25. It's been a while since you've announced the House of Ashes DLC for Monsters and Mortals, but I would like to know the circumstances behind it. How did this collaboration with Supermassive Games happen, and why did you choose House of Ashes specifically? I would also like to congratulate you for the progress you made on all your ongoing projects, and I'm excited to see what you come up with in the future. Sincerely yours, Indie Horror Fan." Well, first off, thank you for the compliment and for supporting us, our collaboration with Supermassive. We're also excited about that, and it's been a really fun experience. And I appreciate that you appreciate our progress. Sometimes that's kind of a thankless process, the whole development thing. But it's really fulfilling when you get to the end and you kind of see the result of all the hard work. So as far as House of Ashes goes, getting to the point, getting to your question, that came about because I am a huge Dark Pictures anthology fan. I love horror anthologies, and there's nobody that does it better in games than Supermassive. So, I mean, they've been doing it since Until Dawn, and, they have several entries into the Dark Pictures horror anthology series, like Man of Medan, Little Hope, House of Ashes, and more recently, The Devil in Me. At the time we signed the deal with them, The Devil in Me wasn't released yet. And out of the three, they had the most interest in House of Ashes. That's why it was chosen. So they didn't want to promote the first two games as much as they wanted to promote House of Ashes because it was, at the time, their most recent game. You can tell it's been a while. It was their most recent game, but also it was the one that they had the most positive reception. So it was the most liked game in the anthology. And I think even now it still is the highest rated entry in the Dark Pictures anthology, even with the release of The Devil and Me. That's going off of various ranking lists I've seen from fans and media on the internet. So, you know, nothing official. It's just the mood of the community is that House of Ashes is the best, or at the very least, the second best entry in that entire series, including like the VR games, Switchback VR 1 and 2. So, yeah, I mean, I think the process for the game DLC has been awesome. We're actually using real assets from House of Ashes. We've had, you know, of course, we've had to rebuild them for multiplayer and online play because they used to be very, very, very heavy assets. Because that's a very cinematic game, almost like a movie. But it's looking really cool, and I think fans are really going to love that one. So let me see. Grab another one. Some of these are repeat questions, so one second. Okay, so we have a question from Twisted Springtrap. For Chapter 5, will we expect to see people who we haven't met yet, like, for example, Edgar, Bierce's husband, or Detective Evans? Well, I can't say who, because that's a spoiler, but I can say that you will meet people that you haven't met yet. That I'm not going to use Bierce's diary entries as an specific example, but you will meet characters that you haven't met yet previously. So there will be a lot of new characters introduced. I won't say a lot. I would just say there will be new characters introduced in some manner. I can't tell you where or how or when or who, but yes. So, all right. Do a couple more, and then I'll jump back to the super chats. So, a lot of these are repeat questions, so I'm trying to find one that's not. Also, some are. Well, I may jump into the chat in a sec to grab a couple more questions. Okay. We're just going to go into the chat to fill out these last questions. So if you have a question in the chat, feel free to drop it. I'm going to take a couple before I go back to super chats. This is for our members in the chat. I'll give them a couple seconds to throw something at me before I go back to super chats. Okay, so we've got one from Regosness Jones. What bit of Dark Deception was most difficult to build for you? Well, it's hard to isolate it to just one part. Um, I mean, I think it's the entirety of the game. The most difficult part are the art assets. So just building the massive number of art assets that we need to basically world build and put together the levels takes so much time. It takes an enormous amount of time and work. Um, from the concept design to the modeling to the texturing, it's like you know, putting together all the little parts of a 2,000 piece IKEA furniture set, and each little piece can take months to complete. So I think I would say the art process, just all the art assets required for a game of this scale is what is the most difficult. Okay. Got a couple more questions. Oh, wait. Some of them are asking for release dates. Never mind. Okay, here's one from UBF13. Who is going to be acting in the motion capture for for Dark Star? So we actually have a couple of very talented actors that are going to be doing the performance for Dark Star, and I'm actually gonna. We haven't recorded with them yet, so we're going to be doing that soon. It got delayed because of a typhoon that hit recently, so we're actually going to be doing that this month, and I'm going to record some of that, and we'll have a video later, kind of showing what they did, who they are, and how that went down. So I will definitely share that at some point later on, without because who they are and what they do and how they do it is kind of a spoiler for level 10. So I'm not going to be able to release that too early. It's going to come later. Let's see, have you ever considered Emily Wants to Play for Monsters and Mortals? I think that would be a good one. I remember Emily Wants to Play. I used to watch Dashi playing that. So I feel like that one would be a fit. Okay, I'm gonna jump back. Let me see. Okay, Frutal Chan says, if I'm correct, you said that there would be a book series, and if so, it will focus more on Bierce, Doug, Malik, the other monsters to flesh their lore out, more of a brand new character. Actually, no. The book series focuses on Malik. Doug and Bierce are not involved in the book series at all because it takes place before Doug and Bierce's story arc. So that's before the Shattered Ring arc. This is about Malik's past and previous mortals that he had encounters with and how those stories played out. So that's why that book series is called The Malik Archives. Let's see. Nate the Gamer Boy asks, will epic, legendary, mythical skins ever be possible for Monsters and Mortals? Yeah, well, we have rare skins, and we can kind of make some of them, more rare, more epic or legendary, and make them and spawn, from purchases at a much lower rate to increase that rarity. So yeah, we could do something like that at some point. We don't. I don't think we have anything like that right now. All the rares are kind of the same chance of spawning when you purchase. But yeah, we could do a class like that at any point, or just add another machine that has like epic skins in it that you can buy, and it costs even more. All right, let me jump back to our super chats now and see if we have any more. Looks like we do. I just need to find where we were. We got Shadow X Acno through in 10. Thank you, Shadow. Is it safe to say that Dark Deception Chapter 5 is going to get pushed into 2024? I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything about Chapter 5's release date, whether it's 2023 or 2024 or 2025. That's you'll see at this point. Um, to be continued, I guess. You'll find out soon enough. But yeah, I can't tell anyone at this point. Shark fan threw another £5. Thank you. In the last Q&A, you said that the white mannequins are just going to be props in the level. Does that mean they serve no purpose to gameplay? No, they do have a point to the gameplay. They are not non-functional. It's just they're not enemies. I'll put it that way. Loaf of Brie threw another 2. Thank you, Loaf. What Chapter 5 level has your favorite OST in it? Definitely Prison Panic. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 2. Bah, nice stream, bro. I gotta go work. All right, well, have fun at work, Unicat. Thanks for stopping by again. And thanks for your support. You're always there. Appreciate that. Sharks fan 2 threw in another £5. Thank you. Does the Chapter 1 to 4 visual improvement update have an official name, like Re-Enhanced or Enhanced Plus? We didn't really name it because it's like a lighting and lore writing kind of improvement enhancement, whereas like the previous enhancement was like a very large-scale visual improvement. I feel like this one should just be included into that previous one. It just becomes like an update to Enhanced. So I would still call it Dark Deception Enhanced. So maybe it's Re-Enhanced if you want to give it like a new project name, like a new nickname. Re-Enhanced kind of fits. Or Enhanced Plus. Yeah, let's go Enhanced Plus. That sounds better than Re-Enhanced. We'll call this one Enhanced Plus. It's like a slight improvement, but it's a big improvement visually. Artsman threw another 5. Thank you again. Hey, Vince, also not related to Dark Deception. Have you tried Anton Blast yet? Anton Blast. Why does that sound so familiar? I think I heard somebody talking about that. No, I haven't tried that one yet. Isn't he the one that did Pizza Tower? Is that related to Pizza Tower? I feel like it is. Sorry, there's a lot of games I don't get to play because I'm always working. I got to catch up at some point. Justin Awesome threw another 2. Thank you, Justin. Will there be snow in Holiday Horror? Well, you know, it's got the Christmas theme going. I haven't really shown any of the mall level. I guess there's kind of snow. I wouldn't say if it's real or not, but I mean, we've got fake snow for decoration. Does that work? I hope so. And he threw another 2. Thank you again. Will you make a Dark Deception trilogy game? Well, yeah, I mean, I've said from the beginning that Dark Deception's planned as a trilogy. This is just, these first 5 chapters are the first game. In that trilogy, we have 2 more coming. They may or may not be episodic. I don't mind the episodic format, so they could be, or we may try something different. Let's see. UBF 13 threw in 2. Thank you. Is Puppet King's head pointed or a flat surface? I think most people have figured out by now that it's pointed. So he has a little pointy, like, spike head. So, yeah, you guys can kind of fill out that last little part that hasn't been revealed at the very tip. It'd be weird if it came to, like, a flat end. But, yeah, that's it for our Super Chats. So, that's about... This is, wow, it's over 2-hour stream again. So thank you to everyone that came by and checked this out and stuck around. I apologize again to everybody that wasted their time last night waiting. And thank you to everybody for your support as always. Without you guys, none of this could happen. And I look forward I'm really excited to share everything with you over the next couple months and see what you think of all of our games as far as the progress, the published games, the new DLCs. We've got a lot of really cool stuff coming. And it's really kind of interesting how it's all coming together kind of around the same time window. It's almost like everything's going to hit together, which could be a bit crazy. Hopefully not. But yeah, it's just going to be getting more and more interesting with each Q&A as we go from here. So I'll see you all in episode 26 next month. Probably do it. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Let me see. We're already in August. So probably the next live stream, we'll probably just turn it into a big Tokyo game special where we're gonna do a lot of like premieres during that. So we're gonna premiere like the new Monsters Immortals DLC, and we're gonna have some live streams straight from the show. We're gonna make a big special out of it. So I think that's gonna kind of be the September Q&A, and we're gonna call that the episode 26. I'll take questions during that too, but it's gonna be kind of blended in with Tokyo Game Show, and that's gonna be the focus. So the next one's gonna be a good one. You guys don't want to miss it. So I'll see you all next month. Take it easy wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody.